Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Fireside Creators. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sherry Pallas. Tonight, I am chatting with Brandon Andress about meditations for your spiritual journey, based on his book, Deep Calls to Deep Meditations for Your Spiritual Journey, Volume 1. Please remember to keep all comments and questions related to the show topic and that this is a safe space. Thank you for joining us and welcoming us into your home. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. And thank you for being here. I can't wait for you to join the conversation. I appreciate you all. Okay, let's meet our guest and become more loving. Brandon, why can't I say his name tonight? I think he jinxed me before the show. Brandon Andress is the author of And So by Fire, which came out in August 2023. What Can't Be Hidden 2021, and the best-selling Beauty in the Wreckage, Finding Peace in the Age of Outrage. As a freelance writer, his work has been published in Relevant Magazine, Renew, and Zondervan. Brandon lives in Columbus, Ohio, and is a graduate of Hanover College in psychology with an MBA from Indiana Wesleyan University. I didn't know if I was going to get through that.
Well, hey, look, so we're just going to go ahead and blame my mom for doing a two-syllable first name with a two-syllable last name.
Right?
Yeah,
And I think the
especially
B,
difficult.
yeah, the BRA and the AND, yeah, it's just completely screwed me up today. How are you, Brandon? It's so good to have you back on the show.
Really good to be back. Yeah, good to see you.
So I really wanted to have this show because I know from personal experience that meditation works. A classic example was when I was writing my book. If I meditated before, I would get 3,000 to 5,000, 7,000 words that day. If I didn't meditate, I'd be lucky to get 200. So I saw that it was kind of like a fix for my ADD, better than anything else. It really centered me, it focused me, and got me there. But the biggest problem I have is remembering to do it. So I wanted to ask you, I'll even be like, oh, I should meditate today. And then later on in that night, it was like, I forgot to meditate today. My ADD starts kicking and my brain goes in another direction, and meditation would solve that. Yet it's like my brain's going, no, I don't want to shut up. How did you overcome that? Did you overcome that?
Isn't it funny how we very quickly think that everything is in our own power and on our own terms, and we very quickly discard practices that actually help us get there.
Right.
And so
I really think it's my brain.
No, right, exactly. Yeah. So, not much different than your story, actually. I think about the times over the years where I have been very intentional about creating that space where I'm welcoming in peace and breathing in peace. And then I go in this, on this path where I'm like, I can do it on my own power. I can just will myself into it. And you realize very quickly you just fall apart. And I think that the time where I figured it out probably the most definitively, and it was a bit unconventional, but it was during COVID. And we were probably, like there's the first part of COVID where, of course, you don't know what's going on, and you're all of a sudden at home, and everything's kind of that weird, exciting thing, like when the blizzard's getting ready to come and you're, locked in your house with your bread and milk. At least in Indiana, that's what we do, not Ohio. There's the times like we just had a massive flood, and everybody's just like coming outside and wondering what's going on, what to do next. And so there was kind of that early part of COVID where I feel like we were trying to figure out what was going on. There was a sense of excitement about coming home and not having to go to work. But then the more that time went on, it started feeling like suffocation. Community was cut off, our regular rhythms were cut off. And I thought, if I'm not very intentional about my practices during this time, I'm going to suffer, because I'd already been feeling like I've never been a person that struggled with anxiety ever. I could not even tell you what that felt like. And I remember we were probably 5-6 months into COVID, and I was in a parking lot, and I got out of my car and I felt like I was having a heart attack.
Oh,
And
wow.
I called the doctor, got in, he ran all the heart tests. He's like, "You're a really healthy guy. Everything checks out." He said, "It's just anxiety." And I'm like, "What?" I don't know if you've ever seen that Seinfeld episode where he's like, "What is the salty substance coming from my eyes?" It's like you're dealt with this reality that you're not familiar with.
Right.
And at that moment, I thought, well, I don't know much about anxiety, but I know the kind of practices that I need to enter into or come back to where I'm feeling at peace again. And so what I started doing, which is, I would say, meditation, maybe we too narrowly define it, honestly. We
Agreed.
imagine it's cross legs and hands, together. Meditation is creating a space, like a space where we simply find rhythm again, and where we're breathing again, where we're breathing in peace, breathing out peace. And so what I would do is I was very intentional. I'd start my work day during COVID from home, and then I would go outside and I would start walking the streets of my neighborhood. And I did two things. I watched my feet hit the ground every step. I watched no headphones, no music, not entertaining any thoughts about what's going on in the world. I watched my feet hit the ground, and I listened to my breath go in and my breath go out. And it was that kind of centering activity that I knew after one day the anxiety wasn't going to go away. But within a week, I was like, I feel back to myself again. I feel like I'm grounded again.
Right. I mean, a lot of people think I don't have time for meditation. On one hand, I think we don't have time to afford not doing meditation. But again, the brain goes like, no, 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 I can do this without it. I don't need to. In preparing for the show, I was thinking about all of this and my favorite meditations and what I've done. And I kind of got a little bit down on myself. And I was like, man, I really gave up this really amazing practice that helped me so much. I haven't meditated in forever. And then I started thinking about it, and it was like, no, I haven't meditated the way that most people consider meditation, taking a segment of time out and doing nothing but that. But I learned years ago that you can meditate while driving. And the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, that's dangerous. Don't do it. Right. But I do. I mean, I can, it's meditation should be literally just bringing you back into the present moment, getting out of your head for just a second. And I can do that with all different kinds of mantras, which I practice all the time. Even stopping for a second, I see numbers, specific numbers all the time. They change, but like right now I'm seeing 1s and 2s. So that reminds me to check in. Thank you. Say thanks. Say, I'm releasing my will. I'm doing these things.
Like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, my meditation may literally be only 3 sentences or 5 breaths, but it's still doing the same thing. So I was getting hard on myself and going, well, oh my God, you haven't done this in forever. But now it's just such an active part of my practice that technically I'm doing it like every hour or so because I've gotten into that habit.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm really about the unconventional practice. And so I think in some way with my job, I'm in the car a lot, I'm driving hours a day. And so it really it lends itself to me being one by myself and me being able to shut off all stimulation and just be within that present space, like you said. But I was also thinking about, not to take away anything from very intentional acts of saying that I'm going to remove myself from all stimulation, from other people, from whatever. Man, some of the most momentous times where I've had moments of solitude has just been intentionally going out in nature and just walking and breathing. Other times, I've been on vacation. We go every other year to South Haven, Michigan. Michigan, one of my favorite states in all 50 states. We were staying at this little house, and it was next door to this church, and they had a sign out front, and it said centering prayer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'm like, I don't know these people, but I am totally going in this place. And I walk in, we take off our shoes, we sit in a circle, and they ring the whatever it's called.
Yeah.
We'll just say the ring a nice gentle bell. They read a quote, and then everybody just gets silent for a half an hour. No agenda, nothing. And to live in a world that is just overstimulated, where we're constantly checking something or going from point A to point B. We live according to the rat race, and to be in a space where you're intentionally just saying, I'm with a group of people that we're choosing not to speak for 30 minutes and just be present, just recharge. I think, man, I don't know what it does to you physiologically, but it almost gave me this massive spike in dopamine.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
I was like on another level. And it's really counterintuitive, right? Because we all, I mean, granted, you can scroll Facebook and get dopamine hits, but of course they're short lived, and you can drink coffee. More. Man, it's really fascinating to me of just being able to. I don't think that it's always practical to say, because I understand we have schedules and lives and things to do and relationships and places we have to be. But it really does seem like that we find ourselves again when, one, either we're intentional about it, or number two, we take advantage of the space that we're in to do it.
Right. And I think counterintuitive is the perfect word, because like I really honestly feel like my mind is going, you don't need it. Don't shut me up. Don't you dare try and quiet me. Yet that's exactly what needs to be done in order to recharge, in order to be able. One of my favorite sayings is that prayer is talking and meditation is listening. And we so rarely listen. We ask all these questions. We say all these prayers, God, answer me, but we never stop to listen and do any of those things. And just doing that can give you all of the information that you're looking for, even if that's nothing. Even if you're not getting something, I'm asking a question, I need to know the answer to this. I mean, one of the craziest things I have ever done was I actually put out to the universe, please give me something. And the only thing that kept coming back to me was the Beatles song, Let It Be. And I was so frustrated by that. I just thought my mind was playing tricks on me, and I was so angry. Yeah, what's that?
I said exactly. Yeah.
Like, really, this is what you're going to, this is what you're going to give me. And I told my son, and he's like, Mom, do you know how powerful that is? And then finally I was like, oh, no, I can't let it be.
Right. No.
But it's exactly, I look back on this, 7-8 years later and go, that has been the continual theme for me. Stop being a control freak. Let it be, listen, just stop your talking and just go for it. And I would never have got that without silencing my head.
So not only is it counterintuitive, it's countercultural, right?
Yeah.
Because the way that we grow up is exactly what you said. It's kind of this reciprocity. Like, if I do this, I should get this. It's the pull up your bootstraps and you will receive benefit. It's all the things. And, even like the bastardization of the word prayer. I mean, you're right. Culturally, that's what we have been told. It's like the asking, ask and you will receive. It's that reciprocity, but it's like, if there is some sort of reciprocity in it, it's that we turn it from a monologue into dialogue. It's the thing where if there's conversation, there has to be listening on the other side. So you're exactly right. We have turned it into, genie in a bottle. I ask and I will receive. But the truth
Right.
is if we're going to talk, then it requires us to shut up and
Right.
actually listen. But we don't want that. I mean, it's so countercultural. We
Like
just
any
have to
relationship.
talk.
Literally
That's
like any
right.
relationship. I
Yes.
mean, even if it's the clerk at the grocery store or something to that effect, any relationship, it's supposed to be a give and take of information. And I think that, I mean, my mom used to, in her prayer Bibles or in her prayer books, she had serial numbers for technology that she wanted. And I just look back and go, no, that's that's not the point.
Right.
It's
Wow, that's
just,
crazy.
I know, asking you, it's the evangelical.
Yeah.
Another problem I run into is destination syndrome. Like I have hopes and dreams and plans of moving to Costa Rica. And I get into the mentality of, oh, I'll do it then. I'll do it when I have time. I'll do it when I am, in a place that's quiet. And I think that is so wrong. I think that in parts of growth that I need to say, no, you need to do it now in order to create that peace here and not have the destination syndrome, which I'm constantly fighting because it's so much easier to do, right? Say, I'll do it when it fits in.
No, you're exactly right. We've got a real proximity problem
Right.
because we imagine like when I get there, then I will start doing it because it will
Right.
make sense. It's like the entryway is always right here. It's
Right.
always right now. Man, and that's kind of mind-blowing, right? Because well, whether it's the proximity here or there, I can assure you that we feel the same way regardless of where we're at. And we can
Yeah.
always make excuses with time, with inconvenience, all the things. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, we talk about wisdom. I talk about wisdom so much. And I think part of being wise is recognizing that there's no better time to just enter into spaces or enter into the present or find the peace, the joy, the love in the present moment. I just lost my train of thought. I just lost it. Man, look at me. I
I
can't
hate
even
it when that
remember.
happens. But I
But
also
yeah,
think that
that's the
comes from
thing.
I think that comes from religion, especially evangelicalism, right? Because the whole religion is based on destination syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are recovering from any type of religion, if you've gone through deconstruction, then going back in and saying, okay, I have to be present now. I mean, I will literally get introspective and be like, if you can't do it here, you're not going to do it there. And I hear my brain go, no, but you'll have free time. And I go, when have I ever had free time? I'm still looking for all the time that computers saved us, supposedly. I remember doing database entries going, this is going to save me so much time. We
Right.
don't have that time. And it's, even correcting myself to go, stop it. You have to be happy here in order to get there. You can't say, I will only be happy when.
No, that's right. And, going back to evangelicalism, I think really, for me, kind of the place where, first, let's say this. So within evangelicalism, we've had this great divorce from like Eastern tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is very Western minded. And so it has to be very pragmatic. A plus B equals C, 1 plus 2 equals 3. And we
No
have always
mystery.
imagined, yeah, I mean, we've always imagined that what we do presently, that there will be a reward in the future. But it's unfortunate because the place where all of this started kind of unlocking for me is just recognizing that um, the language that Jesus used was all about present reality. Like whenever
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about the kingdom of God, it wasn't future distant, it was present in breaking. And then all of a
Right.
sudden, that like my mind just melted because I thought I spent my whole life thinking about what's it going to be like in the future. And the
Mm-hmm.
whole time, the message was twisted to where I didn't understand that everything in the Bible was like, no, how does that reality in break through me outwardly? And I thought, boy, we've gotten in. So then all of a sudden everything starts making sense, like
Right.
being present minded, being joyful and loving presently, like cultivating something inward and then sharing that relationally, communally, and then, throughout our world. To me, it made a whole lot more sense. But, maybe I don't know, maybe in a sense, I'm thankful that, I was in that to recover from that, and it opened my eyes to more more beauty and more life-giving things. It sure would have been easier if somebody would have just put me on that track early on, maybe,
Right.
but maybe I wouldn't appreciate it as much. I don't know.
Well, and I think that the whole destination syndrome not only removes us from the present, it also removes accountability. I mean, one thing, if I were to say, give one word as to what my mission is, it is onus. It's on us to change things. It's not
Yeah,
the devil.
that's
It's
right.
not some God that's going to do this. We
Uh,
are here to do it all us. It's on us. So the onus is
that's
there.
right.
And
That's
if
right.
you when you have that type of stuff and you're neglecting accountability when you're doing all of this, nothing grows. There is no love. All of those things happen, and it again takes us out from the present. It takes us away from everything. Where your mind goes, oh no, I know all that stuff. Let's just keep moving. In order to do this, in order to get present, you have to let that go.
That's right. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And I think in a sense it gives you, I don't know, I mean, maybe just for me, but it just gives me a sense of identity and purpose. Like it helps me understand, like, I am even more, it's like I'm robbing evangelical language now and repurposing it. It's like
Right.
I am a steward, but I understand that in a completely different way. Like I'm a
Totally.
steward of the land, and I'm a steward of the animals, and I'm a steward of relationships and people and community, and I'm a steward of justice and mercy. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
and maybe that's the beauty of it. And I'm in a place now where I'm not necessarily trying to escape something as much as I'm trying to live into something, right?
Right.
And I think that I'm in a place where I'm not afraid to take the language and to repurpose it in a way where maybe it was originally intended, and
Hmm.
and it's not, kind of circling back into meditation. It's like, think back 20, 30, 40 years of your life, and how much of that time, if you use the word meditation within evangelical circles,
Oh, it
did
was
you
bad.
feel bad? Right.
Yeah. Don't let that
And so
devil
I'm
in
like,
your head.
and so I guess the thing is like, there's something really beautiful about getting into a space where you have made a clean break, where you have done some deep soul learning, some soul searching, and you finally discovered a piece where you can move forward, at least in my case, where I'm no longer worried about the judgment. I'm no longer worried about the guilt and the shame. Like, I'm out here forging ahead. And I think, for the sake of myself, but also for the sake of my kids and my family, for the sake of the community that I'm in, I want you to have the best version of me now. And if
Right.
that means, right. And so to me, it's just a much, but again, going back to meditation, I'm not sure that I ever arrive in that space by just pulling up the bootstraps and forging forward, because I would just carry a lot of heartache and pain with me, and I would be
Yeah.
spewing that everywhere I go. It has to be intentionality of finding spaces where you are breathing, where you are looking inward and saying, and I think it takes that self-awareness of saying, in what ways am I still harboring brokenness, but I'm also letting it fester and manifest out in everything. And man, you tell me if somebody can actually look inward and find that, if you just keep going 100 miles an hour.
Right. Right. Our brain doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
So my degree is in comparative religion. And one of the most resonating and beautiful things that I found that was totally the antithesis of evangelicalism was Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And the lack of attachment was so foreign to me. The lack of the concept of the soul. And I talk in my book about how Buddhism doesn't believe in the soul and how that would have affected my life, from like day one or at 6 when I became saved. And we have so much attachment to the soul. We have so much attachment to the afterlife. We have so much attachment to all of these things. And I think that is the first step with meditation. You have to release that attachment. You have to release the attachment to your time, to your thoughts, to your priorities, if there are any other, to everything that's going on. And in releasing that attachment also releases the control, right? Because if you can't, if you're not attached to it, then it can't control you. And that I think is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, you think about attachment, and the first thing that comes up is whenever you're too attached to anything, your first posture is a defensiveness. It's
right.
Preservation. It's preserving the ego. And so I think it's spot on. I don't think that any of us begin a path of learning and growth until we're willing to put all of the things that we would all the things that we've attached to, whether it's our intellect, whether it's our pride, whether it's, you just go down the list. It doesn't matter
right.
what it is. Anything that's ego based, right? Anything that's ego based, we will absolutely begin with a defensive posture until we detach. That's just the bottom line.
Right.
And so,
as an evangelical,
but
go ahead.
I was just going to say one other thing. But it also means that I don't think that I'm fully there, and I don't think that you're fully there either, right? I think it's always this place where we're questioning, what is it that I'm attached to? What is it that I'm self-preserving? Yeah. What is it that I'm ultra defensive about? Because I know that I kind of as well-intentioned as I am, I can very easily fall into that trap of just like, okay, this is the space where I'm not going to be vulnerable, where I'm ready to fight back. So
that's road rage for me. I say that almost every week. Me in the car. And I'm still trying to work on it. I'm still, I have gotten to the point that I will look at the person before I call them names, to try and empathize in some way. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I say is, when it's on us, we have to do the work, right? We can't just be like, well, it's going to happen. Well, I've prayed for it. The onus is on us to actually be there and do it.
That's right.
And to have, as an evangelical, this was love, right? It's smothering, controlling. As a non-evangelical, I now understand that love is release. Love is giving. And you have all of it. And again, meditation is contradictory to control. So you can't be wrapped up in trying to hold everything in and be fearful and release at the same time. So do you have meditations in your book to overcome these adverse things that happen in everyday life that prevent you from getting into this letting go meditation?
So let me say this. I will be the first person to say that my book is not prescriptive. And, the thing that I'm very cautious about is saying, here's a place where I've been. This is a story or anecdote that opens up maybe an area for you that you haven't considered yet, but I'm not going to tell you this is how it has to be, right?
Okay.
At the end,
I like that though.
I want people at the end of each meditation to have an introspective question where they're taking that idea and they're wrestling with it themselves, because I think that it's going to, the way that you embody something or the way that you internalize something is going to be different than me. Totally. And that's fine. But I do want to say at the end of each major section, though, there is a week-long embodiment. So it's like questions that are guiding people to consider, like, now that I've been thinking about it, right? Because there's the head part, and that's usually where a lot of it stays for a lot of people, the intellectual part. Now we're going to enter into several days where I'm asking questions where you can say, how can I take it from my head to my heart, and from my heart to my body, and lived experience. And so I had a funny story that happened yesterday. And I think that this is the reason why we do these things. This is why it's not, it's not this meditation's not this like new age fad or something that's just hip to talk about, or something that
10,000 years old at least.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
But there's a reason. There's a reason for it. And so yesterday, I have to write about this one as one of my weekly writings. But I'm in this car that I'm sitting in. I'm in my car all the time. I bet I'm in my car about 8 hours a day. I am in my car driving. So I had to switch out cars. I was at a car that was at its max. My company wanted me to switch out and get a new vehicle. And, I've been in this car for a long time. It has 75,000 miles. I'm 20 miles away from the dealership to turn it in. And I run over a piece of metal that just pops my tire. And, my company has one of those services where someone will come and change the tire, but the appointment for me taking back the vehicle was within 45 minutes. And I didn't have time to wait for an hour and a half for somebody to come. So like, I get out and I'm like lugging the tire around, and I'm, loosening the lugs, and I'm taking off the tire, and I did the whole thing. And I thought, man, I wasn't mad 1 second. I was like, this is just life. This is what happens. And it was just there's translation, right? There's translation from practice to just like real world. And I want to tell you one other thing. So we had massive floods. We had 17, our river. I mean, my whole town was surrounded. We couldn't even leave. 17 feet until it crested. Everything here is crazy. And I was telling my wife, I was like, I haven't gone down in the basement. And with that much water, I said, I don't even think that I would be upset if we had some water in our basement, because there's just been so much rain, and the whole town is completely flooded. All of the major arteries in and out of town are blocked. You can't get in or out. And I walked down and there's a little bit of water, but I thought 10 years ago, I would have just been fretting and angry. Or if my tire would have popped before I went to a dealership, I would have been just throwing things around and frustrated. And look, I would 10 years ago, I would have said, well, it's just because of your age and you're getting older, but that's just not true.
No.
Like, I know a lot of older folk, I know a lot of older people who are just angry and bitter and frustrated and impulsive, right?
Yeah.
And I think, what do you think leads a person, no matter what your age is, to respond differently in situations? Like, does it happen accidentally? Is it a matter of disposition and personality? To a certain degree. It's the practice that you enter into right now. Right. That's the difference. I'm not propping myself up, but I'm saying I see a difference in myself.
It's growth.
That's right.
I mean, and it's like I say in the last chapter of my book, that the goal is to get to the point where when a door is slammed in our face, it makes us laugh. As opposed to freaking the fuck out going, what am I going to do now? And when I catch myself, laughing at something, especially if I'm doing something stupid in public, like my dress blows up or something, and I can't actually laugh. There's no shame there. There's no, it just, okay, this is just it. Let's do the cha-cha. When I say I have mantras, one of the ones that I repeat probably 2-3 dozen a day, depending on the day, is thy will be done. And that immediately, now at this point, removes any stress. I'm releasing it all into the universal flow. I always say that, in evangelicalism, release was, or surrender was like this. where when you really begin to come into your own and realize the onus is on you, it surrenders more like this. So just saying those words releases that. Now, I pulled my hip in January, and my girlfriend was like, I've never seen someone take it so well as you did. Man, there were some hard days. Even with saying that, that thy will be done. There were days that I couldn't crawl into a ball, but I just laid there going, why? This is horrible. This is absolutely, why is this happening? Because I'm that person. And instead it should be, you know what? Your body needs to rest. You've been running hardcore for 13 years, just rest. And that again took away the stress of things should be different. I should be doing this. I should be doing this and this and this. I may see why, I may not see why, but regardless, looking back now, I go, wow, I got 3 months in bed. Instead of, when I was going through it, going, get me out of this bed. Let me be able to walk.
Thy will be done.
Exactly. More control. And as soon as I release that control, the stress just evaporates. It took me years to get there. In the beginning, it was, this is on you. This doesn't work out. Again, the bartering system.
That's right.
But now it's more like, I trust in the universal flow. I know that there are going to be hard times. I know there's going to be suffering, and I know there's going to be joy and love too. Deal with whatever comes, as opposed to letting it go. And I don't think that would ever have been possible without mantras. And those mantras are forms of meditation.
I love it. So good, Sherry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good for you. That's so
good. I'm trying so hard.
Yeah. I was kind of joking when I got the flat tire. I texted my team afterward, and I texted them that GIF of A Christmas Story, the changing of the tire, and what's his name? The little boy, Ralphie.
There you go.
Ralphie's beside his dad. His dad's like, time me, Ralphie. And Ralphie throws the thing up and loses all the lug nuts. And he says, oh, fudge. I just thought of that moment. Maybe that's it. You got to find some cosmic humor in some things. But I thought about that. I was like, oh, I was imagining my lug nuts going flying through the interstate. I was like, what would I do then?
Yeah. And that's one of those times that, if it did happen, you have to laugh. If not, you cry, get angry, and be totally unproductive. One of the things about meditation too is that I keep stressing is you have to release your control. And I am part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I saw my little sister on Sunday. We took our dogs to the dog park, and she was so angry. She's 15, but she was so angry that her little dog Teddy was not doing what she wanted her to do. And she was getting, and I just was like, what is wrong with you? We're at the dog park. Let him go. And by the end of the time that we were there, I said to her, in order to be able to maintain your own sanity, you have to realize you have to lead, not control. And she's like, what? And I said, so look at Teddy and be like, come on, Teddy, let's go. As opposed to don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And at that point, Teddy's like, okay, where are we going? And I think that's all part of like our life mastery lesson is to lead and no attachment to the outcome. Lead, but not control. And I think that's one of the biggest gifts that meditation has ever given me as a designated, certified control freak that I am. I think I got the certificate and everything.
Oh, man. Yeah, she's 15 and she got a dose.
She does every time we see each other.
Like, man, I wasn't expecting. I'm just trying to walk the dog. Carrie's out here preaching.
Big thoughts, always.
No, it's so good. Man, you just think like at 15 years old, it's like, I think about myself, and it was all agenda. It was all ego, 100%. And, you are a disruptor right there. You disrupt. Like, how many 15-year-olds get hit upside the head with a dose of wisdom like that, where they're like, she's like, what? What? Good
Yeah,
for
like I said,
you.
every other week.
Man.
Yeah.
But that's the sad thing, though, right? Is I think, man, there's such a deficit of that. There's just it's either that there's, you can look at it a couple of ways. There's just a lack of people who have good, profound wisdom to share, to impart, or people are so tired of the cultural trajectory and the way things are that they've just, it's the hide your light under the bushel. No, right? It's
Right.
hiding it and saying, I just can't affect it. Man, I think we're at a place right now, and not to be too meta here, but I think we're at a place where there has to be a cultural renaissance of wisdom. It has to be people who really truly know, like, the good things, like the good thing in the moment of teaching a kid through an object lesson of, there's a way to walk a dog, and one is by shaming it, yelling at it, screaming at it, jerking the leash, and which oddly enough could be the only way that she's ever known in her own life, right?
Right.
And then somebody stepping into that and disrupting, like a holy disruptor that's like, hey, there's an alternative here, and it looks like guiding and leading and being a leader, right? And that catches people off guard, because people just really aren't in a place, usually, I mean, I pay attention, and I'm like, I look at the number of inputs around me on a daily basis where there's wisdom coming in. Right. I mean, honestly, Jerry, where are they? I mean, all I see is perpetuation of the cycles,
right?
And mostly because it's lucrative, or mostly because it's lucrative, or or because there's some power play going on, or a little bit of both. But it's like stepping in as kind of the holy disruptor, imparting wisdom to a culturally deprived world. That's not culturally deprived, but a wisdom deprived world. There really truly is a thirst for that right now. I feel it now more than I really ever have my entire life. I'm not too old, I'm not too young, but I've been around long enough to know, like, right now it just seems like that there are more ears that are listening, and there are more hearts that are open. And I just want to, I mean, you don't need my encouragement, but I'm like, I want to encourage you, because that is so freaking incredible.
Your encouragement. I
do. It's like you could be in that moment as a throwaway moment of just like you two together, which is not bad, but you two just walking a dog and her trying to jerk the thing around. And I don't want to make this, me, I take little stories and make them a big deal. But,
it's okay.
But really, truly, I mean, good for you for taking the moment to just use it. Just good for you.
I look at her. So in order to be part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, you basically have to have had a completely fucked up life, right? Abandonment, no steady people in your life.
That's right.
I knew that going into it. So one of the things that, whether consciously or subconsciously, every time I see her, I'm trying to give her something that I could have used that could have spared me so much pain. And being a control freak, seeing that in her and not going, stop controlling is in itself growth, to be able, I have imparted things on her that she has wholly rejected. And that took me to go, okay, I think this would help you, but if you are rejecting it, I'm not going to force you to do so. But when you're 30, remember it and do it then. I know it's going to hit you at one point, and to lose that control and say, okay, if it's not welcome, it's not going to help. But to be able to say, okay, if someone would have told me lead, do not control, especially in the church atmosphere, I think a lot of abuse would be avoided. I think a lot of capitulation would be avoided. So, to be able to impart that on her and just, the few hours a month that we have, and she got it yesterday. We got into a fight in a Home Depot parking lot a couple months ago because she refused to return the cart. And I'm jumping up and down going, it's basic society. And I'm dropping her off. I'm like, do you hate me? And she's like, no, I get it. I was 15. I get it. But again, I hope that it comes through. I wouldn't know all this had I not suffered, had I not been in those situations. And to bring it back to meditation again, these are the things that help me to be able to have the patience with a 15-year-old that 10 years ago, if someone would have said you're going to be mentoring a teenager, I would have laughed. No way. But to see those little sparks in her that will help her have more self, worth, independence, all of those things, it makes it all worth it.
And I love that. And I love that I got more out of this interview than you guys got from me today.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, you're wonderful.
So good. So good.
Okay, good. So we are almost at the top of we started late, so we got a little minutes left. But your book is broken into 7 sections.
Yeah, not intentional. And 77 meditations, not intentional, I promise.
Oh, fantastic. There's some of those in my book too that I just absolutely love the way it worked out. So what, as I off the top of my head, divine love, what were the other ones?
I think one section is actually meditation. It's like, divine love, meditation, peace. It's just large topics, but I want people to know that it's very relatable and it's not pretentious. It's not preachy at all. And because you've read a lot of them, I think, but it's just,
you're not that way, Brandon. That's why it's not
the funny thing about this book is that this is the first book that wasn't my idea, and it was 100% my wife's idea, because for probably 10 years she's like, you just need to start telling stories and anecdotes, and I'm just like, blah blah blah. I'm not
listen to the women.
and so then, I was still in that space where I'm doing like long form, 1,000, 1,200 word. And she's like, you need to stop and do. So anyway, these are 450 words, 500 words. It's probably 2.5 to 3 minute reads. It's a great reflective question at the end. And what was I going to say? Yeah. So the other pushback that I gave to her before I started doing all this, and now I'm 3 years into doing these weekly writings, but I said, I'll never have enough stories. I'll never have enough things to talk about. Like, who could ever sustain writing that much? Who could? And I was just like, rah, rah, rah. Anyway, somehow, some way, I have something every single week, and it comes out on Tuesdays, and people can read it at brandonandress.com. It's called Deep Calls to Deep, just like the book. And it's just a little offering. That's it. It's a little offering. That's all it is.
The same thing is with this show. When I put it together, I thought 5 or 6 weeks. I could do 5 or 6 weeks.
Right.
Now we're in our 4th year, 170 shows. Wow. I still get times where I go, what are we going to talk about? But, there's so much to talk about in just life.
Hey, the fire is still raging. The fire is still raging. I can see it burning behind you.
See? Yeah. It's hot in
here. I'm sweating just watching you.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how when you are in the flow, how it just happens.
It does.
Again, I didn't even think that 5 or 6 shows I could fill. And now it's like, it's an every Tuesday thing. I know for a fact I've changed some lives, which just keeps me going. And to have these conversations with brilliant people like yourself who have experienced life and have things to show and share with us so we can grow, I just absolutely love. Well, so thank you for being a part of it.
No, feelings mutual. I deeply appreciate it. And I hope people enjoyed the conversation, because I certainly did.
I did too. Okay, so I have your website up. Go there for the book. I have something else. Hold on. There we go. I lost half my screen. See, I told you I'm tech savvy, but not with this program. Okay, so here's your book.
Yeah, there it is.
So everybody go get it.
Basic. My wife designed that as well. She told Keith Giles and Matthew DiStefano what to design, and they designed it. But yeah, I wanted to keep it simple. Earth tones, it's central to my topics of my book. It's about simplicity. It's very basic, and I didn't want anything more flashy or showy than that.
It will stand out just because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. Okay, so I have your website up, but any final words?
No, I don't think so. Just in relationships to the book, everybody always asks me, like, what are your final words? And, ultimately, I just want to be a part of walking alongside a group of people that are beginning to enter into a space, or recognizing that this is the time and the place to bring back some sacredness, some holiness, some, and whatever manifests from that. And look, I try not to get too caught up on either side of the political aisle. I want to be known as someone that is going to die on the hill of trying to help people find a better, higher way of love and cooperation and justice, mercy, beauty, all the restoring relationships. And I don't personally have time to enter into the fighting back and forth. And I'm not saying that people can't have convictions. I'm just saying that we're at a time where it's time for wisdom. Right. Maybe today I'm putting the stick in the ground. I don't know, but this is it's time. So,
we all have our passions. Yeah. We all have our passion. I mean, that's also one of my mantras is, may your will become my passion. To be able to do that. And not all of us are supposed to be involved in politics. Not all of us are supposed to be fighting. Some of them are some people are there to embrace the fighters and have them recharge. Yes, and I think that you are such a safe space. I think you're brilliant at that.
You're very kind.
I get your intention is what I'm trying to say.
I don't want people to just take your word for it. I want people to read the words and use their own judgment on that. But I think that's what they'll find. That's what they'll find.
Good. Go get the book, Deep Calls Too Deep. It's on Amazon. Go to his website. Brandon, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm going to send you.
Pleasure's all mine. I appreciate it.
This tech. I'm going to send you back and close the show. Thank you so much again.
Yep. Thank you.
What a great show. I absolutely love doing this. So thank you so much for watching along and preventing me from talking to myself. Quiet room tonight, but I will definitely look forward to all of your comments over the next week or so. I want to give a big thanks to Patrick Young for his continued support as my producer. Don't forget to check out my book and the follow-up course. Let's create some real change through healing, community, and knowledge, wisdom, like Brandon said. If you like the show, share it, like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks again for watching. And as always, walk in love. I'll see you next week. Mwah. Bye. We'll see if I can log off. May not be able to. There we go. Bloopers galore. See you next week.